Hi, and welcome to another vlog. In this vlog, I'm super excited to share with you one of my most recent work. So this work has been in the process of being made for about, I guess, 3 months, and the only time that I get to really finish it and focus on this is December last year, which was actually one of the busiest months that I had last year. I was not well mentally during the half of 2020 because of the fatigue from everything that was happening, that I actually developed tinnitus or ear buzzing towards the end of November, and I couldn't work for a month until the medication subsided. So I was quite in the rush in making everything by December, but I guess looking back, I finished it, and it's, I think, one of the work that I really find freeing. So this series of work is actually for a show back in January. So I had a show planned for November last year, but that was pushed back to January this year because of the pandemic, and there are a lot of restrictions when it comes to gallery openings. So we opted to have our opening on January. Let's begin. So this work actually started with a video that I posted a few months ago of me creating a work that is entirely made from beads, glitters, and paint. And when I finished that painting, I kind of thought that it wasn't finished. It just looked like it needed to be something else. It needed to be a 4-part series. So I kind of scavenged more 2 feet by 3 feet canvases, and as you've seen in the last video where I shared how I stretched the canvases, and then I made 3 more sketches. When you're painting for a long time, you're gonna be used to planning, to trying to get everything right, but once in a while I like to not plan at all and just make the work as I see it. And this is the approach in this work. I just made it as I see it, as I want to make it. So the curious thing about this is that I didn't actually use a lot of references as I would actually first do. References, practice sketches. I just drew what was inside my head. It's kind of like doodling. When you doodle, you don't really think about it. It's sort of like a meditative experience that you're just lost in thought. So that was the entire idea of this thing. I doodled the images and then I transferred them on canvas. I'll tell you more about this work. So this work became sort of like a projection of what I've been doing before, which I call a cyclic narrative. So I see a cyclic narrative because each element of this painting is connected to the next, and no matter what angle you look at it, it's going to come back to the point on where you started. But just for description's sake, I'm going to narrate my cyclic narrative of a painting this way. So as I've said before, this painting started with this one that is entitled Thinking of You. So Thinking of You is this image of a woman looking up and a barrage of beads around her. And the first question that I asked myself looking at this painting is, where does all of these sequence come from? If I'm going to explore this, what kind of image comes out as the second canvas on top? Because it seemed as though everything was flowing above or below. And so my thought was that there was a source above. So the image that came from that is a goddess in the middle of this glitter fantasy with beads, and she's holding a sculpted flower, a flower that I sculpted from clay. And around that is the sequence falling on the first canvas. So that answers the question, and that moves the narrative forward. And then when I was drawing it, I kind of really ask myself again, where does the goddess manifest from? If she's manifesting from something else, because it feels as though she's coming from something else. So I had this idea of making a genie with a lamp that's connected with the third canvas, this canvas, which is entirely, I think, 80% made out of sequins. For this third canvas, I wanted to explore the image of magic. If magic is coming from a lamp, like the fairy tales, Aladdin and the trope of the magic lamp granting wishes with a genie, I thought that painting wasn't enough, and exploring it with different materials is really interesting. If you actually view this work in person, it changes on every angle that you look at it, like a gown, some sort of a gown on a stage, and each bead has a different texture and color. And the way that I did it is much like a pattern meeting the second canvas with the genie on it. And yeah, that's how I came about this third image, a genie. After finishing the third canvas, I was asking, what does the fourth canvas, the final one, look like? Because I kind of got tired of connecting the shapes in between. It needs to be connected more in thought, in my opinion, more in material. So I started putting sequins around the lamp, and I had this thought that these sequins would fall underneath in the image of a mermaid that's looking at the audience, kind of like saying to the audience that this entire imagery is made from something else. I don't know, I'm trying to ask myself even up to this point if it's magic or the concept of just, imagination. But in my mind, the conclusion of this narrative is a mermaid was trying to create something out of nothing, and it just burst into something else, and she is just watching it. There's a lot of fragmented images, a lot of textures that's happening, and when you look at it, everything bit by bit connecting, it seems to make sense with me. Some sort of a hallucination that I just drew on canvas. And yeah, that's the work. Probably the last part of this video, the thing that I want to talk about is how to manage creating something this detailed in a short amount of time. And there are 3 things that really helped me. Number 1 was a planner. I list down things that I would do within a day, and I would do them without question. And that's one point that helps with anxiety. If you do things without question, you just list them down, you're eventually going to finish it. And then the next thing is trying to work while being creative and not judgmental. So I've read something about being creative and making your work is different from judging your work and being objective about it. Because if you combine those things while creating a work, you will stop and you will not work. So the second thing is just work and judge your work after you're done. And the last thing that really surprised me is don't expect anything. I mean, there's this meme around about artists that in your imagination it's such a grand piece of work, and in real life it will look like just a pile of badly made stuff. Sometimes that's true, but try to imagine 50% of the work, not the entire 100%, just the 50%, and then with reality fill up then another 50%, so that your expectations could be a little bit lower. At the same time, you can ground yourself, because I don't think you can actually match what you think in reality with your work. I mean, you can do that with practice, but it will take a lot of time. But in order to keep on creating, try to level yourself at that point on where you're just seeing the work in your brain a sort of like a feeling, an image, but you're not stressing yourself out in trying to create a work out of your imagination and being super sad that it didn't end the way you want it. Just do your best. Yeah, and that's the thing that I learned. So in the coming weeks, these 3 works will have their own individual videos. If you're interested, the first painting already has an entire time-lapse video. I'm gonna link it up there and you can watch that. So within the couple of weeks, 3 more videos are gonna be coming. I hope that you will want to see how each of this painting is made. And yeah, if you have any questions, suggestions, or anything you want to ask me, you can comment them down below. If you want some topics that I could discuss about art school, about life, about being an artist, you can ask down below. So thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you next time.